The Jungle Showdown is upon us today in the StarTimes Uganda Premier League as LUGAZI FC, a 7 unbeaten streak, faces a toughest opponent in MBARARA State Football Club, and will the Ankole Lions roar back to winning ways, having gone 2 matches without registering victory. They face the leaders of LUGAZI FC in the middle of Marira Forest. Can the Ankole Lions roar high, or will the leaders lead their way to another 3 points in the StarTimes Uganda Premier League? We shall wait to see if that can happen in Marira Forest. I am Alex Mugalu Bisima. I will be joined by Tendo Nikita Musoke and Godwin Bule to go deep into matchday live analysis. Can the Lions survive the Forest? That's the question that these two gentlemen will be going deep into today's matchday live. They are facing a side that hasn't lost ever since Stephen Bogere took the helm at LUGAZI FC and given the mantle to lead the leaders to the promised land. They have managed to garner 12 points so far in the StarTimes Uganda Premier League. The two sides face off against each other when they are equal on points, having managed 12 each. But MBARARA City has failed to register victory in their last 2 games, conceding over 6 goals and managing to score only once. Express beat them by 3 goals to 1, and then they lost their last game at their own backyard against Maroons Football Club, a side that also thumped them by 3 goals to 0. Godwin Bule, a crack of a match is happening deep in Marira Forest, where LUGAZI FC hasn't lost a game ever since Stephen Bogere took charge, managing to beat NEC FC and then drawing against MBARARA Heroes at the same stadium, and then getting a point against KCC FC at the same stadium. Coming into the game after that 1-0 draw against AC Villa, they are back at their own backyard.
It was timely, the appointment of Stephen Bogere coming through at LUGAZI FC. They needed a gaffer with experience who has known the league for quite some time. And with Stephen Bogere, that's what they got. And then he found the assistant already striding on, that is Oliver Mbekeka. She did wonders when she got that massive win in Ham Stadium. And then the boys built on that with confidence. You look at the results they've got in the last few games, 6 in counting, no loss. That is a good turnover for them. And if you're trying to survive being relegated, or if you're trying to get into the best positions in the league, at least that can be a good run for a team that has just got ascension into the StarTimes Uganda Premier League. Definitely looking on in today's game, the home advantage is on them. Should they bank on it, they can get this win today.
Okay, in the Tendo, with the home advantage, LUGAZI FC are playing at their own backyard. They have actually conceded only 3 goals since Stephen Bogere, or even counting the reign of Oliver Mbekeka at Express FC, conceding only 3 goals in the run. And then they have faced some strong sides, you could say, in that run, facing AC Villa, then KCC FC, Police FC in there, then MBARARA Heroes, Express, but they haven't lost any game. They are facing MBARARA State, a side that is struggling of the recent days.
Yeah, of course, MBARARA City is struggling of recent, and for MBARARA City, it would have been normal if in those struggles there wasn't a loss at home in Kacheka, because that is what will demand them to have a big reaction. They normally struggle, especially away from home. They are proverbial strugglers, and you think that in this season where they try to rectify that away form, you would think that they would be striding on to greater heights, but somehow their form deserted them. In the last 5 games, they have only won once. That is the win against MBARARA Heroes, which is sandwiched by 2 losses either way. You talked about Maroons and Express, but before that there had been UPDF and Vipers, and Vipers also beat them from Kacheka. So if you get 2 losses at Kacheka and you are MBARARA City, you have to react by having actually more wins away from home, and you would think that visiting Najembe would give them that sense of deja vu. They went to that same pitch and beat UPDF, rather Bull FC. So you would think that they have to react quickest to balance the tally of points they have to amass at the end of the season. And Livingstone Babazi has his work cut out for him. He's going to face a player, a coach who was a legend. Everybody who was growing up back then in the 80s and early 90s was looking up to Stephen Bogere, especially if you were growing to be a midfielder. And Livingstone Babazi is not than those that actually looked up to him, and his career coincided with Bogere's retirement in '95 when Bogere was playing his last games at Villa International. Mbabazi was playing his first games at Kampala United under Mike Mutebi. A long story to be cut short, Mbabazi also became one of the best midfielders, similar to what Stephen Bogere is, and he even went and played professional, which did not happen for Stephen Bogere. But as coaches, you think Mbabazi should not look at Bogere as a mentor, because it's going to be very, very much harder for him to get a result. But Bogere has really achieved a lot. But the challenge for both of them is they are looked at as some of the biggest brains in coaching football, but they have not gotten the accolades that match their weight. So this is one of those times where you have to get one over the other. And with relatively weaker teams, you would think everyone has to show their astuteness, and Bogere has really done that with aplomb. Like Bule has said, since he took over, he came into Lugazi at a very torrid time. You come into a situation where Oliver Mbekeka has won against Express, and I remember when we did the game against NEC, we were saying he has a snake in the pot. If he doesn't hit it, he will not eat. Or even if he crashes it, he might still not eat. And he did get that win against NEC, and that was the last time they won a game at Lugazi. So when you look at that situation and how it turns out and how it has panned out, you think that it's high time they thought about getting another win for the fans. They have gotten good results of recent, an away draw against Sports Club Villa. Then there was an away draw against Police FC. But then they had a good draw against KCCA at home. But there was a disappointing one against Wakiso Giants, where they thought that would have been 3 points for them. Now, in this situation with MBARARA losing 2 games on the trot, you think that Bogere would think this is an easier time to get the win against MBARARA, because we still think their away form as MBARARA City is not that impressive, even under Livingstone Mbabazi.
Yeah, under Livingstone Mbabazi, and their side we shall be seeing Stephen Bogere, who is now in charge. That was the game that Lugazi FC played against NEC FC with Samsem Gugu scoring that solitary strike. That was the difference on that particular evening, to see Lugazi FC registering their second victory of the season after beating Express FC. They came back and then managed to win that game against NEC FC, edging them by a goal to nil. Bole, in the games that Lugazi FC has managed to win, they haven't really been scoring those goals. And even in the pre-match interview, their assistant coach Oliver Mbekeka mentioned about how he wants these lads to make sure they capitalize on the chances they create. They create a couple of scoring opportunities, but they don't score goals. Many goals. You've seen them beating 1-0. Their games are really relatively closer when you see them. I don't know if that can be improved in today's game, because we've seen MBARARA so penetratable. They have been conceding over 3 goals in back-to-back games.
And it's going to be detrimental to MBARARA City if they concede more than 2 goals in today's game. And outside, lessons not planned. But for Lugazi FC, with the ammunition that they have, the likes of Sharif Saka, Samsem Gugu, Mandela in the midfield, even man of the match in the last game, Abdul Kalanzi, they can really bank on themselves to get those goals. But the chances are not created as much, because as a striker, you really should ask yourself about the chances that you get in a game. But they are always little, so this is something that they should work on. But also, the quality in the side is not there, as per se, Lugazi FC. If it's KCCA, you just know that they have a lot of quality players there. But Lugazi just ascended, and then they held on to some players. Then they made a few accusations like Ian Amanya to mention but a few. But still, they don't have the quality who can change games, who can dictate games, create a lot of chances. But the best aspect that they have is playing at home. When you look at Najembe, Lugazi Stadium, it's a good stadium. Every player would really want to play in such a stadium where it gives you the atmosphere to play your game. And as Lugazi, they bank on retaining the ball. If you can retain the ball, then try to create as much chances as possible. Sam Semogugu scored for them a lot of goals in the big league. Right now, he still has that potential, but it shows that he's not being fed. He isn't getting the chances. Or more so, the system that they're adopting is not helpful at all. So the coaches need to change a bit to ensure that they get something from these young lads.
Senior Tendo, when you look at the playing style of Coach Livingstone Mbabazi in the previous games, you could note that he has been giving players who are more attack-minded players to make sure that they get team goals. But without Saidi Aligmaho, we've seen Mbara State struggling a bit to find the back of the net, and they have went on to concede goals. I don't know what could be the solution for that to make sure they don't concede many goals and even get other players get involved to score goals for Mbara State FC.
Well, it's a little harder for them to avoid conceding goals because, first of all, the playing style they have is expansive, like you said. You have over 4 players with only one solution going forward. They're not good at defending at all. If you have Saidi Aligumao, you have Latif Senkubuge, you have Henry Chitegeny and Akanda Naho, you don't ask them to do any defensive work. They will not do it. So you ask them to do going forward. The only challenge is whatever forays they make forward have not yielded enough results. If you look at the last games that they have played, they have scored only 4 goals in all those games. 1 against Vipers, 1 against UPDF, 1 against Express, and they were on the losing trail. The only goal that yielded results was the win against Bali Heroes. So when you combine that with the goals they have conceded, 11 in number, Vipers hit them 3, UPDF hit them 2, and then Express and Maroons scored 3 times. That means that the attack is not defending well, and the best way to defend is by attacking, which means their players have to be very, very effective. If you remember the game that they had a draw against URA at Hams Stadium, they had more chances. That is why they got even an opportunity to have that draw, that away draw. Because they made more chances, they had 2 goals disallowed, and they were all bamboozling URA and asking many questions. If they bring that kind of element in this game today, you think that they can have answers to all the questions. Because you remember at Najembe again, they came and bamboozled Bull FC. So probably the playing style of their forwards is also helped by away pitches in some cases, which we hadn't seen in the previous past because they have not been good travelers. So we were thinking that they are good at grinding out results at Kacheka. But now that the results are not coming at Kacheka, the higher they have to go is by getting a lot of results, especially wins away from home. And this is one of those games where you think that they can do that. Why? Even LUGAZI, for all that form that they have unbeaten, are not having a winning run. So you think that they can really wake up and get the result. And Mbabazi has to have a lot in mind to try and work it out in terms of getting the attack replacing the bad defense that he has.
Yeah, in the bad defense for the side of Livingstone Mbabazi, you can see on the screen the players are getting ready for the epic clash that will be kicking off at exactly 4 p.m. coming to you live from the heart of Mabira Forest, where LUGAZI FC hosts their StarTimes Uganda Premier League games. And Bule Atendo has hinted of Mbara City visiting a stadium they are familiar with. They went at the same stadium and picked maximum points, scoring very many goals against Bull Football Club in the times when Mbara City was actually flying high, and then in there they lost the form. I don't know how LUGAZI FC's defense can go on to hold the attack that Tender has been talking about of Mbara City, where they bring over 4 attack-minded players.
As LUGAZI FC, definitely in the back line, they usually opt for Waswa, and then Adrico and the captain. They usually do quite a good job, but definitely the central phases need to be covered. That is the central defensive midfield area where Adrico usually plays. If they're opting for over 4 attacking players as Mbara City, and then Mbara City rely on the likes of Joseph Akandanaho, the central phases needs to be guarded, because Akandanaho usually plays in that central middle area where he plays as a number 8. If Adrico is there and then Mandela has the cover for him, it's going to be good for LUGAZI FC, at least not exposing the back line of Waswa and company, because if they're exposed, then it's a bad thing for them. But good thing, ever since the Emerald go in goal for LUGAZI FC, they've been having good results. They have not lost, which shows you a good stride in changes. Yes, the young lad Mutebi started, but Emerald came through and he has given them the stability that they need. In as many games, you need that composure from the backline and the goalkeeper. Not conceding, but also getting maximum points or even a point in every game, because remember, this is LUGAZI FC. And so far, their start has been are quite impressive.
Okay, this is LUGAZI Football Club as well as MBARARA FC. The two sides are going to be facing up against each other in the StarTimes Uganda Premier League match day 12. We are going to be heading in for a very short commercial break, but when we return, we shall be taking a look at the 11 players that have been selected by both coaches to start off today's encounter. LUGAZI FC up against MBARARA Football Club. The battle for 3 points in the StarTimes Uganda Premier League match day 12 continues with the side of Stephen Bogere aiming to extend their unbeaten run to 8 matches. They have played 7 games without registering a defeat, and then MBARARA are also aiming to bounce back after suffering 2 losses in their last 2 games. And then this game will be deciding which one will be extending their tie to 15 points or will the two sides share the spoils. For now, we are going to be looking at the team selections, which players have been selected to start today's game with the traveling side of MBARARA Football Club. They coming into the game wanting to at least avoid defeat or conceding very many goals. Of recent, they have been conceding very many goals in the games they have been playing, and I know Godwin Bule, that could be the plan and at the back of Livingstone Babazi's mind to at least prevent conceding very many goals.
Yeah, it was disastrous from them in the last 2 games, conceding 6 goals. That is uncharacteristic of Livingstone Babazi. He's known to be the meanest one in terms of defending. He doesn't allow such goals. And when you look at how they've been conceding, it's been poor too. When you look at how the goalkeeper Chimera has been dealing with some of those instances in matches, yeah. A lot has to be done, but we'll look at the lineup first.
With Abdul Chimera remaining in the sticks, having considered all those goals, he's the man chosen to start today's game. Joseph Akandanaho, their captain, comes into the squad as well. Karim Ramadan, Francis Odong, Joseph Kafumbe, Stephen Othieno, Latif Senkubuge, Sei Algumaho, Adinho Gibson, Edward Namasa, Yusuf Mafabi Abule. There have been some changes. We don't see Enrich Tegenyi. Is it the solution to avoid conceding goals? Are they changing the system?
Yeah, a change of system should be visible today, and is something that I would really ask for the gaffer, Livingstone Babazi, maybe a 5-3-2 or a 4-4-2 to ensure that they have that stability in every department, from the back line, the midfield, and then forward. Because if you can opt for a 5-3-2 according to the lineup, you have Kafumbe playing as a left wing back, and then you have Mafawi playing as a right wing back, but you have the stability in the center back, where Edward Namasa, Karim Ramadan will be really having a go at the attackers. And then in that midfield, that is where Adinho Gibson, Odongo will be coming in, but also the captain, Joseph Agandanaho, playing as a attacking-minded or offensive player. As a number 8, it should be well for them. Then up front, for the 2 strikers that I would opt for, according to the lineup, that is the top scorer, Seriri Argumaho, and then they would really have Latif Senkubuge partnering him. But they will be alternating accordingly. 4-4-2 or 5-3 can be my system to go, because they've been conceding goals, but then they've not been getting goals of late. Okay. However much Seriri Argumaho has gotten goals in the last 2 games, but they need more goals to overcome the disaster that they are facing. Yeah,
Tendo, will that selection give MBARARA a balance maybe to score goals and also avoid conceding?
It depends on how it is, because when you don't have Henry Tegenyi, you really miss the opportunity to get into scoring shape for those half chances, because he's a master of half chances. And the shape that MBARARA almost has, they get more half chances than clear-cut opportunities. And then also the fact that it disturbs the defense to create space for Seriri Argumaho. Seriri Argumaho as a direct number 9 is not one of those adept strikers you would think will give you the results, unless the team is so fluid in passing and all that. Maybe they hoped that today Najembe will provide them that opportunity to show their fluidity, because when you look at the players as individuals, Latif Senkubuge and Akandanaho really have the ability to be silky. Even Seriri Argumaho himself. But I think the ace in that lineup is Stephen Othieno. If they choose to play a 4-4-2, like Bule was saying, and having Namasa and Karim Ramadan at the back, Stephen Otieno will be the roving midfielder. That position has been there since Jamil Mvule was around, but it hasn't been utilized, especially after the injury of Sadat Nsumuga. Now, the likes of everybody who has tried to play that position has not really managed. But then, if they're going for a back five, then Stephen will drop and become the libero in between the two center backs. So he has that versatility to play across the back. And when you remember, he was one of those influential players when they were beating this same side in the big league. They played 2 games in the big league in 2022, 2023. One of them was goalless, and then in the home win, they won 3-1, and he was very instrumental. So probably he could be the ace, and he has not been given a lot of playing time of late. So maybe Babazi was looking for fresher legs and fresher minds and fresher angles to create a subplot within this game.
Could that strategy that Livingstone Babazi has gone with in today's game will yield him 3 points or a point in today's game? We shall be waiting, and the 90 minutes will be deciding who will be the winner of the game. For now, we shall also take a look at the hosting side's lineup to see which players have been selected by Stephen Bogere and the assistant Oliver Mbekeka. Aiko Richard captaining the side, Emmanuel Obua, Ali Ashavin Bayo, Derek Mwanje, Nelson Mandela, Sharif Saka, Abdul Kalanzi, Paul Waswa, Sam Semugugu, and Rogers Adrico, the 11 players that will be starting today's game for the side of LUGAZI FC.
4-3-3 is what I'm looking at because they've had that stability in the midfield where the likes of Derek Mwanje and then man of the match in the last game, Abdul Kalanzi, have been vital. And then the main man who really gives them that cover in the 6-yard area or the pivot, Rogers Adrico, coming through. That is a 3-man midfield, which they use to stabilize every play that they have. And the back line, Emmanuel Obua as a left back, Aiko Richard as a center back, covering the left side. You have Paul Waswa as a center back covering the right side. Then Ali Bayo as a right back. That is a good lineup because it's what started in the last game. Yeah. They have that combination and coordination, which helps them. At least they know they are the underdogs. So in each game, they come and do that collective work. Up front, Sam Semugugu should be tasked. I'm asking more from Sam Semugugu because I know him being a stellar player, producing the goals whenever possible. But he hasn't yet found his boots in the StarTimes Premier League. Sharif Saka should be vital in the right wing, at least making a shift in the center, partnering with Sam Semugugu. But it's a great lineup. Hopefully, Stephen Bogere has given them the instructions to ensure that they get the 3 points. Yeah,
Tendo, there is a bit of consistency, at least in the selection, when you look at the time that Stephen Bogere and Oliver Mbekeka have been in charge of this team. There have been those players that have been playing in almost every game, and they have at least given them positive results.
Yeah, the consistency has been there. The only challenge has been the right back. The right back has always been a problem. After Gift Lubega got the other red card, when he came back, the positions had changed so many times. Bule is talking about Bayo Ashavin playing there, but even Sharif Saka plays there sometimes, especially when they opt for a back five. And when you see Semugugu in the team, it means Sharif Saka goes and drops back into that right wing. But when you look at the preposition that Abdul Kalanzi scored coming from the right, you think that he might try to make it a wide back line with Obua playing as the left wing back and then Sharif Saka playing as the right wing back. And then having Abdul Kalanzi in the half spaces and then pushing Derek Mwanje ahead. Then Ashavin Bayo comes in to partner Rogers Adrico. Or alternatively, trying for the expansive European style where Ashavin Bayo starts as a right back and then goes inside to underlap and become a midfielder, depending on how, of course, MBARARA will be reacting. But it is a very tricky time, and this is because of the fact that he's playing against Livingstone Babazi. Sometimes coaches have things that they imagine the other opponent will create. When you remember Babazi at Arua Hill, he had the knack of cutting down teams that have a run. he comes to KCC and plays the narrow game. He comes to Vipers, he plays a 4-2-2-2. And when you have a situation where he now chooses Otieno, you think that Bogere also wants to outthink him and create something out of the ordinary. And that's why you don't see the likes of Mungodit, who was good at crossing the ball. So it is going to be a mix which will be evolving throughout the game. And these are some of the games where someone who wants to look at the tactics playing will want to watch, because when you follow closely how the game pans out, you realize that these coaches are thinking more than the players are playing on the pitch, and hopefully whatever they have thought works out positively, or else you will see how they react when something goes amiss.
In there, of course, Tendo anticipating that tactics will be taking center stage, and they will be at play at Najembe LUGAZI FC Stadium, where they will be taking on MBARARA FC on March the 12th of the StarTimes Uganda Premier League. Godwin Bule, having taken a look at both lineups, do you expect many goals, or it's going to be more of a reserved game that the two sides are going to be a bit conservative and then avoid conceding goals?
A bit conservative because the damage that MBARARA City faced in the last few games really puts a picture in Mbabazi's head that we should be compact and conservative. When we get the chances, we should use them. Of course, goals are meant to be in every game, but it's according to the hunger of the players, and then it's according to the philosophy and system which they're going to bring today. I'm looking at how they're going to come out of the shell. As MBARARA City, they have the personnel to score goals from set pieces, long balls, because they have Dongo, they have Adino Gibson, they have Latif Senkubuge. Those are gangly players who rely on those long balls and link-up play. So definitely it's what they need to be looking at. And when you look at LUGAZI, with the pace of Sam Semugugu, with the architecture of Sharif Saka in the right or right wing back, it's always viable for them. And then Derek Manje piling the numbers in the box plus partner Abdul Kalanzi. They should really get the goals going. I want to see goals in such games, because every team wants to win games to be in a safer spot.
Abole wants to see goals. Tendo, could we see goals? Because Oliver Mbeka mentioned that he wants to see his side scoring more goals.
Yeah, of course, when you play a side like MBARARA City that have conceded 11, and on average they concede 3-3 in a game, you think that the rain has to come on your side as well. Yeah. But again, you are also a side that has not scored many goals in the last 5 games. Yeah. They have scored one, almost
actually 3 in almost
3 in almost 6 games, and that is a very bad tally. So how you react from and it's not profligacy. It's not that they missed many goals. I think the only match where they missed many goals was the game they won against NEC, where Semugugu missed. But they have not had many chances. And the other game that they had many chances was the game against Express FC. So when you look at how they are going to pan out to try and get goals, you think that it's going to play in MBARARA's favor, because they have to add numbers, and you had Bule trying to play it out, how Sharif Saka has to go, how Derek Mwanje has to go, how Abdul Kalanzi has to go. And as the numbers go in front, the numbers depreciate back. And remember, they have a porous backline tactically. Why? When you have a player that is playing on the left, that is a defender playing on the left and a defender playing on the right, it is very easy if you have a striker who is direct to pass through the middle. So how they work that out in the defensive midfield is going to be dependent on how much they need goals. I'm thinking Mbabazi, it's automatic. He doesn't want to concede many goals in this game. So he's going to be a little more conservative. That is why he has the option of having Stephen Otieno either coming in the middle to dismantle the play and track Derek Mwanje, or dropping into the libero role to be the third center back. So when they have that formation, and he doesn't have now the full backs that fly, Mosisi and Wafula, probably is going to be a little more conservative today. Yeah. As he's conservative, he's going to demand his 2 forwards, Seydari Gumaho and Latif Senkobuge, to use the opportunities they have to create chances. And I'm looking at a game where you are putting a foot up front and someone is coming to counter step in you, and it's going to be really a chess battle, whereby the most effective will work. Like we saw the game against Mbale, it was decided by a cheeky goal by the captain Akandanaho. So I think it's going to be more of a scientific approach to tactics than really about art and talent, because definitely both sides have a problem One is not scoring many goals and one is conceding many. So if you try to curb that, it's going to create an imbalance in this game whereby it might favor MBARARA City.
In there, Tendo giving his verdict about the game, and then his expectation as MBARARA City visits LUGAZI FC at LUGAZI FC Stadium in Najembe to see if they can return back to winning ways, but also LUGAZI FC are aiming to extend their unbeaten run to at least 8 games. They have managed to maintain that form after Stephen Bogere was given the mantle to lead this side after showing the exit door to the coach that was in charge, Sadiq Sempiji. The team has now gained confidence.
Coach. How we would have won the free part.
From MBARARA, sure. It was from MBARARA State. But Bule, at times in the games where Tendo anticipates science to take center stage, in some games we see an element of individual brilliance, as we saw Paul Muchules deciding yesterday's game where NEC FC edged by a goal to nil, and then they managed to go back to top the StarTimes Jogo. Does LUGAZI FC has those players you think they can be the schemers and then take charge to decide the game?
I think it's somehow collective. When you look at how LUGAZI tend to play, everyone feeds off each other. Even if it's Samson Gugu, even if it's Derek Mwanje, the likes of Sharif Saka, they play as a collective and they try to create those chances. They don't have those intelligent players who can orchestrate play. And the mode of Stephen Bengo, Saddam Juma, Sulaiman Mutiaba, you need a type of player in such a caliber to dictate play in every circumstance. But as for LUGAZI, yes, they have the quality as per se players, but they don't have that player with individual brilliance. So definitely, they rely on that collectiveness, according to the system that the coach has opted for. If you're going to rely on crosses, then Sharif Saka brings the crosses and then feed Samson Gugu. If it's going to be counter-attacks, then we must get those fast break attacks, which I believe they should do. As LUGAZI FC, even in the last season, they're relying on those long balls because of the pace of Samson Gugu. So they need to be collective, but also understanding each other as per se movements and combination. They will get the goals. Okay,
at exactly 4 p.m. the tactical battle will be unfolding at LUGAZI FC deep in Mabira Forest, is where the clash of the battle of supremacy will be taking center stage. But we shall be heading in a very short commercial break. When we return, we shall be going into a match day live at LUGAZI FC Stadium.
Joseph Akananwaho. Cross comes inside the box area, tapping and simply inside the back of the net, and that is Latif Senkubuke. And that's why he has been given really that chance to try and clear. They are all taking this second half lead against LUGAZI Football Club team. Good run, very powerful delivery there from Joseph Akananwaho. Well, down to the back post that had Latif Senkubuge spreading through, totally unmarked. That is really clumsy defending from LUGAZI Football Club. By Mandela again. There goes down. Simply started off quickly, just right inside the box. Cross comes inside. Shot from Flickton inside the back of the net here. Bayo Ali on it. Watch, quick reaction from LUGAZI side. Moses Puga, and again Kalanzi, and outside with that half volley there from Bayo Ali. Well struck. Oh, that ball picking up. Well, some bit of that deflection. Well, Kalanzi eyeing in for, that is Ivan Bironji, and Bayo Ali really had to put that ball to where it is really supposed to be.